So, um, I looked back at the previous video that I recorded yesterday night, and it seemed terrible. I couldn't speak loud, the lightings weren't that good, um, and my voice was too low, and yeah, whatever. I wasn't talking much. So I thought I would record another one today. Um, just maybe reintroduce myself. Um, so, what I was actually doing yesterday was answering some questions a friend asked me. So, um, uh, yeah, as a way to introduce myself. So, again, speaking of the apocalypse, so I mentioned yesterday how we're having global warming and how that might lead to a global pandemic, although I don't think that this alone will cause very wide extinctions. I think global warming is going to lead to so many disastrous things in a non-ending stream of negative feedback loops with S. For example, they're talking about the Arctic methane, the Arctic sea ice melting fully by year, well, sometime very soon, at most by year 2020. And this will speed up the release of methane into the air. Well, you have methane hydrate, lots of it, at the bottom of the sea floor in the Arctic, and if the Arctic sea ice melts, then what happens is that this will speed up the warming there, because there's no more ice. The albedo effect is going to be a lot lower, meaning that water absorbs heat a lot more than ice does. Ice reflects most of sunlight, while water, being dark in color, is gonna absorb a lot of the heat, and this is gonna make the water warm quickly, and this will lead to a release of the methane hydrate. It will actually melt the methane hydrate in the bottom of the sea there, and it's gonna yeah, it's gonna lead to a release of methane in the air, and methane is a much stronger gas, is a much stronger greenhouse gas than CO2, especially in the short run. It is up to 80 times as strong as CO2 in the short run. So you don't only have methane coming out of the Arctic Ocean, but it's gonna come out of the permafrosts around the Arctic that are melting, because there is a lot of methane underneath there as well. Okay, so for example, Siberia has a lot of permafrost that's actually melting, and this is gonna release more and more methane as the warming speed up. So what is happening is actually a recipe for a disaster. It's a recipe for a disaster, and you know, every time scientists determine what the worst case scenario is, you know, how fast could it warm at worst, what it turns out to be shortly after is that what is actually happening is way worse than the worst case scenarios. Okay, so I don't know where we're going. You know, if I start talking about this, I can go over and over again, and then I'll never be done. So, okay, let's choose another topic. Something that concerns me. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing most of the times actually. This is the part of me which I can't understand. So I know very well about me that I am a very highly anxious person. Okay, so that's part of me, and this is a package, you know. It's not just the anxiety. It comes with a big, you know, collection of traits that correlate with it or actually are due to it. So let's put that aside. But there's also another part of me which I'm not able to I am not able to, you know, make sense of or categorize or connect it to anything else in my personality, which is the tendency to want to be different. So what do I really try to do? Do I try to be better than others in some way, or do I try to be different and that itself is viewed as better than others? Am I avoiding being just another number on planet Earth? You know, there are lots of humans on Earth, so I mean, so since high school I heard that I do everything to say, you know, look at me, I'm different. Okay, so yeah, I am different from others. Even sometimes unwillingly, you know, I operate pretty independently of what the society and what my peers think. Okay, so you know, although I do have some dependent traits, generally the way I think is pretty weird, or it's unconventional compared to the way other people would think, or the way they would interpret things. You pick a collection of data. I say that this is what is happening, while other people would say, well, that's what's happening, something entirely different. So I see things differently, definitely, but also I don't know. Okay. So maybe I'll talk about this another time when I'll be prepared.